Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom, and I'm the Education Administrator at Wesley Institute, and I'm your host for tonight. Welcome to the Master of Teaching Primary Information webinar. Tonight, you're going to hear from Julie Matthews and Christine Grice, and I'll introduce them a little later. We will go through the information about the Master of Teaching Primary course tonight, followed by a time of question and answer. So without any further delay, let me introduce you to Julie Matthews. Julie is the head of education, and she has had an extensive career in education spanning the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. Before coming to Wesley Institute, Julie spent 8 years as deputy principal of Covenant Christian School. Her great passion is to see students reach their potential in whatever field they choose. Julie is also a history teacher and feels she was successful when her students developed a passion for history and wanted to learn more. I'm now going to hand over to Julie.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Master of Teaching Primary webinar. As Thomas just said, I'm Julie Matthews, and I head up the education team here at WI, or Wesley Institute, as we usually call it. At Wesley, we offer both a Master of Teaching Primary and a Master of Teaching Secondary, as well as an MA in Religious Education. As you are aware, we are a Christian higher education provider, which means that our courses come from a Christian perspective. But like all tertiary providers, we welcome all applicants. I'm very excited that we now have our new Master of Teaching Primary and Secondary accredited and ready to start for February 2015. This evening's webinar will introduce you to the primary course and how it is delivered. I do hope that you find it informative and interesting. I'll now like to hand back to Tom, our wonderful IT manager, who will introduce you to Christine Grice. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Julie. Good evening to you who just joined us. My name's Tom, and I'm the Education Administrator at Wesley Institute, and I am your host for tonight. The webinar will be recorded and made available at a later date, so you can view any parts that you have missed. Let me introduce you to Christine Grice, who is the Master of Teaching Primary Coordinator. Christine has a Bachelor of Arts, Diploma of Education, a Master of Educational Leadership and Management, and is currently completing a PhD about the Primary English National Curriculum, Staff Personal Development, and Inquiry Learning. Christine, a former head of junior school, also has years of experience in teaching in Australia and overseas. Let me now hand it over to Christine.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar this evening. I'm going to open up some slides for us to have a look at. Here we go. And I'll take you through some information about the Masters of Teaching Primary. So the first thing I had in my mind was, well, why would you like to be a primary teacher? There are so many great reasons to be a primary educator. First of all, it covers all the curriculum areas, and so there's so much diversity in the role. It's like loads of different jobs in one, and if you teach kindergarten as opposed to teaching year 6, it's like having a completely different job. I think you really have the opportunity to make a genuine difference to children all day because you're with them all day, every day, potentially for more hours than their parents. And so you have the opportunity to really be a positive role model in our busy society these days. And that's, I think, particularly important for Christians these days, that we can make a difference to children. At the end of the day, it's all about the learning, and if you're someone who's excited about how people learn and how kids learn and relating to kids, and you know and you enjoy understanding how they get it, then you can really help those children and make a difference. And so I suppose teachers are continuously learners, and so if you're someone who loves to continually learn, then you'll love the job. And if you're someone who loves relating to other people, then it's the right job for you as well. I think the most important thing about primary teaching is that it's fun. quite different, I think, from many other mundane jobs. Teaching in a primary school is creative, and no day is the same. Every day is different. And that's the wonderful thing about being part of a school community. You're never ever going to have the same working day twice. There are also lots of opportunities for promotion and personal growth and development in service as a person. It's an opportunity to serve the Lord, to be receptive for children who are hungry for knowledge about Him and spiritual understanding, and also an opportunity, I think, to serve families in need. Regardless of what socio-economic area you live in, there will always be families in need, and I think that that's a wonderful opportunity to serve. And I would say that teaching has family-friendly hours in terms of 9 to 3. Of course, teachers work much harder than that outside those hours, but it does have the flexibility, and of course it does have the school holidays. So I'm going to go through some aspects of the course now. This is one student who's saying how excited she is that we have this course that teaches from a Christian worldview. And another student who's really enjoying the study. And students that I speak to always are so excited about our course, and they really value the content. They find it practical and challenging, but they find it's really useful for their future practice, and that's the feedback that we get a lot. So the course itself, if you choose to study full-time, it takes 2 years. So that's 4 semesters of study, or you can choose to do it part-time, which quite a few people do, over the 4 years. So that depends on what your individual circumstances are. There are 16 units in the course, and that includes 3 professional experiences. So professional experience is when you go into a school and you have the opportunity initially to observe and then indeed to start teaching. And towards the end, in your final professional experience, you are teaching for most of the time. So just having a look at the program, in semester 1, we cover the following units. So the first unit is a foundation unit about teaching and learning, where you look at sort of the basics of what teaching is about. And then there's the literacy workshop, which happens at orientation, which is where we meet at the start of the course all together, where we meet face-to-face for a couple of days and cover off quite a few different things. And there's a literacy workshop and a creative arts workshop as well, where you get some hands-on experience for teaching those subjects. Then in semester 1, there's also professional experience 1, where for 15 days you get to go into a school and start learning about what it's really like on the job. In semester 2, we cover teaching for diverse abilities. So that's where you learn about how all students are different and how you don't just teach from the front these days, about how you can differentiate in your classroom and teach in different ways to meet the needs of different students in your class. Then in semester 2, there's also PDHPE workshops. PDHPE stands for Personal Development, Health and PE, and you get to have some hands-on training there as well about how to teach that. And there's also science and technology workshops. So you can see from this already that although there's theoretical courses, there's also a lot of practical courses within our program and hands-on learning. And then there's professional experience 2, which is a 20-day course. So you can see that the professional experience number of days is increasing, and they're blocks of time. And that's a really worthwhile part of our course, that you get to go into schools for that full immersion rather than just say 1 day a week. So you really are getting a feel for exactly what the job is like and exactly what schools are like. Then in your second year, and of course if you're part-time this all takes longer, cultural perspectives. So that's looking at a bit of sociology and understanding what different family circumstances are like, what different angles people take on learning. And then psychology for teachers, so that's understanding how people think and how students think in your classroom and strategies for classroom management. And then we start looking at key learning areas, So HSIE is sort of a combination of history and geography. And then there's a numeracy workshop as well. So once again, that's getting some hands-on maths strategies for how to teach maths in the classroom. Lots of ideas about games and all sorts of different ways that you can engage students in maths. Then in 4th semester, there's a teaching biblical studies unit. It's very important to us at Wesley that we're looking at things from a Christian perspective. And then there's English, so that's looking at the English curriculum and maths as well. And of course the numeracy and the literacy subjects that go with English and maths look at more detail about those two things as well. So how to teach reading, how to teach counting, all those sorts of things that are very important in the primary years. And then a final professional experience 3, which is a 25 days, so that's your longest one, where really you're getting the confidence to go out and teach, because after that you'll be looking for work. Other things that I wanted to talk about as well are just the nature of our learning experience here at Wesley. So it's an online course, which gives you flexibility to study in your own time. So if you're someone who likes to work at night, you can do that, for instance, if you're working during the day. Or if you're someone who has the time during the day, maybe you have children and they have a sleep time, then you can log on then. So it's flexible in that sense. And we're using the latest technology then to enable you to do that wherever you are, in fact, in the world. And we do have students from all over Australia studying this course. We're here to give you that human support that you need, and there is a forum where you can also chat to other students. And we have a compulsory orientation at the beginning where you get to meet other students as well, and that's an opportunity to make connections with people who are studying the same course as you. Then there's research support also from the library, where you can connect to all sorts of documents. I don't know how long it's been since you've studied. Back when I did my undergraduate degree, we used to have to actually go into the library. These days everything's available online for you, which is much easier. So our library connects to contemporary literature and research papers from all around the world, and lots of critical Christian worldview sources as well. I think that's everything that I wanted to cover this evening. There's some pictures of our students doing lots of different things at orientation and in the workshops. So just a word about the course introduction in semester 2015. It's on our campus in Drummoyne at Wesley Institute, and it's from the 2nd to the 4th of February, where we do some course introduction units where we look at things like, well, how do you write a lesson and what does that involve? We look at child protection, we look at literacy, lots of different things. We look at Christian worldview. And then on the 5th and 6th of February, there's creative arts workshops, primary workshops as well, which are also compulsory. So it is a week-long course introduction for primary students. And here's some more pictures of lots of students at our course introduction, meeting each other, chatting, using technology, having the opportunity to meet each other. Okay, so just I suppose I've covered a lot of these things, but in the course introduction, these are some of the aspects that we cover. So there's a workshop on foundations of teaching and learning, lesson planning, like I've mentioned, child protection and literacy, and yes, you get to meet and work with fellow students. And that's also the opportunity to talk with Marion Poynton, who organises our professional experience, which is quite an incredible feat to put hundreds of students out on pracs. And she can talk to you about what kind of schools you can go to and choosing some diverse schools for your professional experience. And of course, it depends where you live as well. Okay. And also, most importantly, you'll get the opportunity with Tom to get some technology training about how to actually use our technology so that when you're learning online, you have that support and you know how to find things, which is an important start for the success of your study. And of course the workshops are really quite good fun. In terms of application for admission to the primary course, this is what you need to have: at least 1 year or full-time equivalent relevant to one or more learning areas of the primary curriculum. So you need to have an undergraduate degree already, and I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, please do in the question time ask us more about admission application. And this is just another comment from a student about how they found our course. Thank you for listening this evening. And if you have any further questions, please do ask them. Okay, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? If you do, you can either type them in the question section, or there's also a chat section if you can't be heard.
While we do wait on questions, Tom, I suggest that Will shows just what a unit would look like on our online platform, which we use Moodle. Do you think that I don't know if everyone's aware that Will is the assistant head of school at Wesley, and he looks after, with Tom, he looks after the content of what's on the Moodle platform. So if you wouldn't mind, Tom, that would be really good, I think.
Presenter rather, and also when it comes time for questions with Christy and Seema, might like to unmute their microphones so that we can hear them. If I'm coming through at the moment, that's great. I'd just like to show you my screen. And I'll just very quickly show you that we have, once you log in to Moodle, which is our learning management system for doing the online learning, and putting all the information and resources that you need, we have a central page called the Education homepage. And on this page, there's a lot of information that will be useful to you. Let's get that back up again. Okay, so including events that we have during the year for the various workshop, semester resources, things that such as the calendar, the text list, various forms and extension forms that you will need. We have guides such as the Turnitin guide, how to upload your assessments, and we also have some presentations that we've had at previous course introduction preparing to teach events. Such as how to actually write essays, academic integrity, and teaching from a Christian worldview. Then there's a whole lot of resources that you may find very handy as you do various assessments, and they're also very handy when you're out teaching as well. So it's good to become familiar with those. For those who might not have a Christian background, there's some information there, various multimedia ways of looking at what a Christian perspective might look like when you're doing some of your work. We've had some study skill workshops for those who may be struggling a little bit, and that information is there to help you grow in your skills. Professional experience is a session that Mariam will spend time on in February when you come on campus. And we've provided links right across Australia to various state departments of education, as well as the independent sector as well for you, and particularly then just registering yourself in your particular state. And then just some final information there when you come to graduate, and I'm sure that'll be a great moment for you. So look, that's the Education homepage. It's a central spot that we like all our students to go to, and you'll find everything that you need there. Now, to give you a bit of a feel for the units, here's one that's currently running called Intro. They've got information about the lecturer, the study guide that you have, doing upload for citation, and then information, provided readings, places where you can do discussion. There's the discussion forum, and that's a fantastic time amongst students as they share responses there. And of course, then there's the uploading of your assignments, and they're in the relevant week that you need to do your upload on, so you can submit that. So that's a foundational unit. That was EDPF 401 currently running. Next year you'll have EDPF 501. Here's another one running at the moment in the curriculum area of literacy. And again, very similar format where you've got the study lectures at the top, the study guide, various resources that you need, discussion forums and so forth. I think once you get familiar with one unit, you will be familiar with most of them. On our Wesley Institute website at the moment, you will find information on next year's textbooks, and it would be really good if you could, once you enrol, pardon me, is to make sure you get the orders in. But next year in February, we also have Macquarie University Cooperative Bookshop on campus during the preparing to teach time, so you'll be able to get those books straight over the counter for those units. Also on the site you will find next year's calendar, and you can see there the dates are set for you, suggested progress through the course, as well as when the assessments are due on the right hand side. So that will be handy for you in planning your year out. We can see Easter there, right down to professional experience when you will go out on school practicum. So that's very handy. It's on the Wesley Institute website. Not on the website just at the moment, but it will be there very shortly, is an outline of the orientation preparing to teach program that you'll do when you come on site Monday the 2nd of February. Send that out, and that goes for right through to the Friday. So we'll get that up so that you'll have an idea of what you're going to be doing. So I hope that's a bit of a handy introduction for you as to what we do online, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thanks very much, Tom.
Thanks very much, Will. We did just have a question from one student about the dates of the orientation, and just to go over that again, it will be from the 2nd to the 6th of February. You have 3 days of compulsory on-campus orientation, and then they'll be followed by 2 days of exciting and fun workshops with trained and professional teachers, and that's always been a great experience in the past. I might just unmute all students and attendees, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in person or type them into the question box.
One question that many people ask is, isn't primary teaching, aren't there too many primary teachers? And why should I be thinking about this if there are too many primary teachers and I'm not going to get a job? Christine, you might like to just answer that question.
Yes, it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Are there jobs out there? And I have found that, yes, there are always jobs for primary teachers. It depends, I suppose, whether you're prepared to travel and where it is that you live. And so there's always jobs in Sydney, particularly in the western parts of Sydney. You'll always find work. But in saying that, I find that there's always jobs everywhere. It's about getting lots of casual work and getting your name out there. Also, in 2017, so not too far away, BOSTIS are requiring that all teachers who taught before 2004 have to be reaccredited. So what that means is that many teachers that are on the edge of retirement will probably retire at that stage because they won't want to reaccredit, and therefore by the time you finish this course, if you enroll now, there will actually be lots of jobs potentially available for you. So I don't think it's something that you need to be concerned about. I hope that helps to answer the question.
Christine or Julie, I might throw this question in there. It's sometimes often asked by students is, do you have to be a Christian to study this course?
No, definitely not. Christine did allude to that, but it is written from a Christian perspective, and you will learn a lot about Christianity on the way through. But we do not mandate that you must be a Christian at all, and it does not go against you in the course. We really encourage everyone who would like to be a primary teacher who wants to learn from a Christian perspective to apply for our course.
Yes, and can I add to that just by saying we actually do have quite fantastic student diversity in our courses currently. So that not all Christians are studying our courses. We have people from a whole range of different worldviews. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And as Will sort of mentioned in his on the online units there's actually a section there on the education homepage with Christian resources to be able to help you in a lot of Christian perspectives or points of view that you can use in your assessment and in your journal tasks, which forms part of assessment one as well. So you definitely don't have to feel like you have to know your way around the Bible or anything like that. You can definitely look up these resources, and those are available on the education homepage. Perhaps another question that might be worth asking is just in regards to professional experience. We do usually try and get you a place within 1 hour's drive of wherever you live. That of course is not guaranteed, but as much as possible we try and do that for you. But it's also worth mentioning that it's also good to go beyond your comfort zone, both physically but also as a teacher, as a professional. When you go to a different type of environment, it's a different type of community and it's different type of experience altogether. So you'll meet a whole range of different types of students, and they have different types of learning needs and interests. So for example, I went to Dubbo and I reside in the eastern suburbs, and that was a completely different experience, just meeting all the students there who were generally more involved in agriculture and a lot of the practical workshop type classes, and that was quite a dominant and strong feature of the school, as opposed to a metropolitan school where a lot of focus was more on IT classes and design classes. So really that different type of experience on your practical experiences is really valuable for you. So you can, when you go to work, you have a sense of being able to adapt to whatever environment you're placed in.
And it is important to say that you have to go to at least 2 different primary schools. 3 if you can do it. We find you the placements, and by regulations from the BOS-TEST, which looks after teachers, you have to have done your pracs in a minimum of 2 different schools.
There is also one aspect that we haven't discussed, and that's in the final prac, the 25-day prac, you also have the opportunity to do a research project within that school. So that's sort of capstone unit as part of our Masters of Teaching Primary, and you'll have support in doing that research project, and you'll have the opportunity to choose your topic of an area of interest to you. So that's also a great opportunity for you. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask.
Tom, if there aren't any more questions, perhaps we might end the webinar. What do you think?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. A reminder that this webinar will be made available at a later date, so you can view any parts that you may have missed. If you have any further questions, or maybe a question that was unanswered for you, please contact Cameron on 9819 8810. He is our student recruitment coordinator. So once again, that's Cameron's number, It's 98198810. If, on the other hand, you're ready to apply, head on over to our website to start the application process, and that's at www.wi.edu.au/how-to-apply. Thanks again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your company. On behalf of the staff at Wesley Institute, I wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we hope to see you next year. Goodbye, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your evening.